Hello and welcome to Lansdowne Road for this evening's Champions League third round qualifier between Shelbourne and Deportivo La Coruña. Well, who would have predicted that this very week, when the Olympics begin, the Premiership kicks off and the All-Ireland Championships reach decisive stages, that a National League soccer club would be sharing the headlines with such significant events? Well, this is a tie that has certainly captured the public's imagination, and that was reflected in the demand for tickets this week. All 24,000 were quickly snapped up, and if we had a ground to facilitate 10, 15 or maybe 20,000 more, they certainly would also have been sold. Well, the team news here in RTE's Lansdowne studio is good, with Roddy Collins and Pat Dolan reporting fit once again, and while they may have disagreed at times during last week's game against Hajduk Split, they may concede this week that Deportivo La Coruña are the hottest of favourites to progress to the group stages of the competition. You're welcome along once again, gentlemen. And one of the points that's been made quite a lot in the press this week is that Shelbourne are very much match fit, having played 20-plus matches this season, whereas Deportivo La Coruña, this is their first competitive fixture. What's the significance of that?
Yeah, well, fitness has a major part to play. It's one of the ingredients in the full packet. But, although Shelbourne have played 20-odd games, I mean, their season didn't end until maybe April, and a couple of them in May. And a lot of them would have played international football as well. So, as you would say, Shelbourne have played games. They won't be far off the mark. They don't go away for too long. They'll be keeping their condition right in the off period when they're having a break. So, as regards match sharpness, that maybe Shelbourne would have the edge, but the overall fitness, I don't think will be a major factor. Yeah,
surely, Pat, a club as big as Deportivo La Coruña won't come to a game like this poorly prepared, would they?
It's mind games. I think he'd be absolutely delighted with the Irish media. I think he came over here to make it as hostile as possible for himself, in terms of playing down his own team's chances. Let's remember, this is a team that got to the Champions League semi-final last year, but for the three previous seasons, they got to the quarterfinals. Are you telling me that a manager with that ability, someone from the Basque Country, a tough little feisty fella, that's been headbutted by one of his own players and survived and gone on from strength to strength, that he's going to look at the date and say we won't bother preparing for that? Complete mind games, irrelevant.
So the fitness won't be a big factor?
To both sides, fitnesses will be important. And the difference will be that for years we decided as Irish teams, because we were so good we didn't need to be fit. The Irish team will be fit, so will the Spanish team.
OK, well, right now let's hear from Pat Fenlon, the man who has led Shelbourne through the 2 qualifying rounds so far. Darren Maloney caught up with him a short time ago.
Pat, first of all, your team the same as last week. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the same side that we put out. They've done well in the 2 games against Split, so we're used to the system now, and we'll play this fairly similar to the way we against Split. We'll probably try to get up a little bit higher if we can.
What about playing here at Lansdowne Road? It's a special event and occasion for the fans, but for the players too.
Yeah, obviously they're loving to play the game in Talca Park, but we all know what's happened since then with the interest in the game. It wasn't going to happen in Talca, but it's a great occasion for the players to play here. I think there's only one of them has played here before, so a player should get a big lift out playing here.
And the pitch dimensions are the same as at Talca Park. What do you hope to get out of that?
Well, the width is the same as at Talca Park. We haven't. The length is still the same as it was before. We just try to get used to the surrounds that we had at Talca, and people know where they are on the pitch and positional sense, that sort of stuff.
And finally, you've watched Deportivo, I know, a couple of videos and stuff. How do you rate them, Pat?
Different class. I mean, there are a lot of very, very good players. I know they've 1 or 2 out, but they have quality all over the place. They've even got international lads sitting on the bench, so that speaks for itself. But, we're equipped for it. We'll be well able for it, and we're ready to play.
We wish you the best of luck. Thanks, Pat. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, looking relaxed as always, Shelbourne manager Pat Fenlon. Roddy, there's been huge hype and intense build-up to this game. What sort of effect will it have on the players?
Well, looking at the players, they've been out nearly an hour before kick-off. That would concern me a little bit. The adrenaline will be pumping for a couple of days. There could be a lot of nervous energy knocking about. I would have maybe held them back a little bit more, keep them chomping at the bit. They warmed up, for me, a little bit too energetic. It's going to be a frantic start to the game. But in this situation, the adrenaline is pumping a couple of days. You've got to make sure that the adrenaline doesn't pass from there up into the brain. If that happens, you're in major trouble with a team like Deportivo, because the quality of players they have, if you give them the ball, like last week we said, ball retention is so important. These are experts at it. So if you give them the ball and the first 15, 20 minutes they keep possession, they take the sting out of it. So the adrenaline factor that you need, combined with the physical fitness of Shelbourne, which we said won't be a factor, but early on, they're going to use a lot of chasing the ball down. So I think maybe the hype, the certain players can play in front of big crowds. Certain players could lose it, a little bit. And I think maybe the hype could get to a couple of players. But the first 10, 15 minutes, if Shells can get something going, maybe get a couple of, near misses or a goal, which would be fantastic, get the crowd behind them, it will help. But if they don't, in the first 15 minutes, achieve that, I think it's going to be a major uphill battle anyway. I think it's going to go straight into the favour of Deportivo.
Okay, well, we've plenty to talk about before the game kicks off. The teams have just been announced. We'll bring them to you shortly. We'll take a short break. Do rejoin us right after that. Welcome back to Lansdowne Road. The teams coming out on the pitch for this third round Champions League qualifier. And we really can't emphasise the mammoth task that is ahead for Shelbourne this evening. Pat Dolan, we know that upsets do happen in football, but they are the exception rather than the rule, aren't they?
Yeah, well, if you ask Omar and Tyrone, maybe certainly this weekend there was big shocks. I'd be surprised if Shelbourne, over 2 legs, were able to beat Deportivo La Coruña. I really would, with the quality. I mean, Deportivo have 7 Spanish internationals in the starting lineup, a Uruguayan international, a Portuguese international, Brazilian international. So they've got a really, really strong team. Shows some character. I mean, I think the problem for them is the 4-1-4-1 system against the back 3. It's a completely different proposition against the back 4, because now you've got Romero and Pablo, the fullbacks, and they're going to be linking with Luque and Victor. Now, who's going to take care of them? Against 3, the one up front can deal with the 3, but now one of the 4 has to break and engage the fullback. And how Shelbourne deal with that, and the performance of Valeron in the whole, how they deal with him, that's going to be the problem.
Okay, Pat, a brief prediction for me score-wise?
I think if they can keep a clean sheet, I think that has to be, because if they can see the away goal, it makes it virtually impossible for them.
Roddy, your prediction?
Well, as I say, if they can keep a clean sheet, which I doubt very much, and past talking about systems, it's not about systems tonight, because if you try to match them for systems and player for player in a technical sense, you're in trouble. There's going to be, a lot of guts and determination.
Okay, it's a big match to look forward to, and our commentators this evening at Lansdowne Road, Paul Doolan and first Darren Maloney.
Peter, thank you. A very good evening. It's a really nice night here at Lansdowne Road for this historic match for Shelbourne and indeed for Irish football. Owen Heary and Mauro Silva, the 2 skippers there with the Czech referee. Toss of the coin, these historic moments, and this is the Shelbourne team. They go with the same 11 which performed so well at Tulka Park last week. Glenn Fitzpatrick didn't train until yesterday, but he's fine to play. Alan Moore was singled out by Javier Iurreta as one of the main dangers in the Shelbourne team. Deportivo have 10 of the side, which beat AC Milan 4-0 in the second leg of the quarter-final last season. The only change is Cesar in at centre-back for Naybet, who's reportedly on his way to Spurs. Tristan and Fran are not available, but they wouldn't have started anyway. Now there's the referee from the Czech Republic. Michael Benes has refereed in the Champions League proper matches involving Barcelona, Ajax and the current holders, FC Porto. Just about ready to go. Paul Doolan is here, the manager of Drogheda United. Drogheda, the league leaders on the last side to beat Shelbourne. Paul, what do you think about Shels and Deportivo tonight?
Well, Darren, it's a marvellous occasion. I think, to be fair, it's going to be tough for Shels. They've done absolutely brilliant. You think about third round of the Champions League, to have the likes of, as you just said, there's Owen Heary and Mauro Silva and all the top players. It's a marvellous occasion, and hopefully they do go on and get some sort of result in it.
Well, the ground is still filling up. It's very close to its 24,000 capacity. It's Deportivo, the Spanish giants, who will get us underway. Limerick United were the last League of Ireland side in 1980 to play in a European tie here at Lansdowne Road. That day, their opponents were Spanish. They were Real Madrid. They lost by 2-1. And the crowd already a lot bigger than it was that night. Only 8,000 came out to see Limerick United and Real Madrid. A Deportivo